The following program is rated G. It is suitable for all audiences.
As a future educators, it is clear that teaching people how to think correctly and use language carefully to work out the truth for themselves is a pretty good start for education by teaching at a young age. However, this is an unfashionable view in postmodern times of no absolute truths, where all knowledge is incomplete, evolving, and relative to some cultural construction. Thus, teaching is seen as some abstract and largely useless exercise. There are clearly many problems with our current education or teaching system. An evolutionary philosophy of knowledge and education has important contributions to make to improving things. In this documentary, you will find short introduction and they say about knowledge and education. According to Mr. Webster, knowledge is an understanding gained by actual experiences. It is clear perfection of youth and something learned and kept in. And education is the action and process of educating or being educated. And now, let's find out the different views of these different students about knowledge and education.
Knowledge for me is a gift from God, because that's what I've known. Knowledge is acquiring learning through experience. Through experiences, we learn. Knowledge helps us to be a better person. Education is a valuable treasure a person can have, because no one can get it or take it away from you. It is in you, and it's up to you on how you would develop and enrich it. I was born and raised from a poor family. I was not given all the things I want since we don't have enough money to buy our wants. We can't help it, but we get jealous to our rich kid classmates. They always have what they want. Through that, I realized that educated people usually are rich people. If not so rich, they were able to live their lives comfortably. Since then, I realized that I want to be educated like them. I want to be educated not just for myself but for my parents as well. That time, I also started dreaming and made plans for myself. I asked myself what I really want to be and make some actions about my planned goal. I want to be a preschool teacher, and that is what I should be. I know I can make it. I've seen so many changes because of education. Education transforms lives, from poor people to educated and successful people. We can all have a better and progressive life as we want. All we have to do is be educated. Education with the right and enough knowledge. We can change our lives, and for that, I believe I can change my life too.
Since the philosophy is the art which teaches us how to live, and since children need to learn it as much as we do at the other ages, why do we not instruct them to read it? But in truth, I know nothing about the philosophy of education except this, that the greatest and the most important difficulty known to human learning seems to lie in it that are which it is how to bring up children and how to educate them. Philosophy's study of reflection upon knowledge is a study of these and theories, but no less of questions, concepts and distinctions. All of these will generate color and refine these philosophical theories about knowledge. These results are philosophical attempts to understand whatever is the most fundamentally understandable about the nature and availability about knowledge. We will gain a sense of what philosophers have thought knowledge is might be, along why some philosophers have thought knowledge both does not and could not exist.
Knowledge and education coexist. Without knowledge, there's no education. Of course, because knowledge has a big part in education. When we use our knowledge, we learn. And for me, learning is the most important part of education. Knowledge and education are like cars without tires, trees without leaves, speakers without sounds. If the other part is gone, it's useless. Just like education, if there is no knowledge, we won't achieve the education we want. Knowledge and education are partners. They live together. Because as I said earlier, if the other part do not exist, it's useless. It's nonsense. And I do believe that knowledge comes from our loving God, so that we must use it wisely and carefully. Through that knowledge, we learn in every aspect in our lives. And when we learn, we will be educated. And that education is the key to everybody's success in their lives.
Knowledge and education. Knowledge and education can touch our life in a simple and complex way. Knowledge, it is the continuous process of learning through experience. We can use this as a weapon. Through knowledge, we can do a lot of things and make things all this possible. It can gain and achieve our goal in life. It serves as my strength and weapon as well as weakness to do things and use in my daily life. It is also very important in my studies. If you have knowledge, you can share everything that you have to others and to use knowledge in a right and a useful way. Through this, I can prove to myself that I can do things like what others can do. And I can say that this is the important weapon to face my every struggle and obstacles I'll be facing. Education. Education is very important. Through this, I can fulfill my dreams to become a professional teacher. And my parents become proud of me, but that I'll be being someday. Education is my treasure because it is the best thing that I could ever think in my life. Some us, some of us cannot afford to go to school because of financial problem or family problem. I am very lucky to have this opportunity be, to fulfill my dreams and goal in life. I want to become a successful person someday by using my knowledge and education.
Knowledge and education is very important to all of us. Through knowledge and education, we can easily find work. Knowledge is what you discover from yourself and gain from observation and experience, while education is something we learn from other people or in school. Knowledge let us understand the things around us. Knowledge could be learned in many ways, by starting reading books, magazines, and other informational items. Knowledge and education is one of the ingredients to achieve our dreams and goals in life. Through knowledge, we will know what's the best and bad for us. Our parents or my parents always reminds me that the only affluence they could give me and no one could get it away from me is only the education. Knowledge and education is the key to our success. In my point of view, we can gain knowledge through education.
My life has been influenced greatly teacher. Since I was a child, teacher is all I wanted. My aunt is a biology teacher I have quite few friends and cousins that are now a teacher. I have been fortunate to influenced by some teachers, like my aunt. I love to be around kids, and I like participating in the process of learning, and hope to one day influence students. In the future, I hope to one day be an elementary teacher. I hope children are like this class discussion and letting opinions express themselves. These are my beliefs regarding the education of the student. I would strongly agree that students should to be active in learning process.
Knowledge and education. My education philosophy foundation to help me build both content and pedagogy. It is important to have strong beliefs, grounded in found theory to guide our living. It is equally important to remain open-minded to new trends and techniques that may benefit our students. There is the aim of attaining the highest grade as the primary pursuit of an education. One might aim delivering content at the main focus of schooling. Students would like to construct their own knowledge through understanding each situation. Education is life. It supports it. Knowledge connects education. Each one of us needed to be educated.
Knowledge and education. Education has been changing since the first moment we step into an education course. I believe that each student has the capacity to accomplish any goal that is set for them as long as they feel connected to what they are learning. This means believing in each student and believing that the student can learn and be successful. Education is the more formal process of learning, but philosophy is something that can develop with age from our experiences, and it shapes how we view the world. Education is usually seen as formal lessons which we have in school and philosophy less structured. While my view of knowledge directly impacts through the method of teaching, I view knowledge as problem-solving skills, so students will be empowered to understand conceptually and to influence their environment. To challenge students to develop their intelligence and talents as fully as possible, teach them to recognize their individual learning styles, to take responsibility for their own education, and to teach themselves and others. The knowledge and education that we acquire will be our goal-oriented and curriculum-driven.
The value and the role of education is different, but good basic education is essential in everyday culture and at all levels. Knowledge was started when I was born. We gain more knowledge for our everyday experience in our life. Knowledge is our ability to process and store information and the factor that influence the development of background. Knowledge is our oriented experiential base. Knowledge is an important to individual to be aware of everything. My view of education helps to man to do right and makes incorrect decision that they can choose what is better and we have chance to achieve the goal in our life.
Knowledge and education are very important matter for us. Being a human, we are blessed to have intelligence to choose what kind of life we want to live. Knowledge for me is our understanding gained by our experience through other people, through books and many other things. Through knowledge, we are constantly raising, analyzing and thinking. Just like being a college student, we have so many things to study, to think and to learn in order to achieve our dreams. Education is the constant process of change. For me, it is the greatest adventure in the world because it is the process of becoming. Every time we learn something new, we become something new. And we as a human being, we are capable of changes. Education is the only thing that remains forever in our life. It will never fade away and other people can get it away from us.
I believe that education is like a seed that must be tended. It must grow in oneself, for literacy is a need in this society. And in education, it is where we acquire knowledge, either it is formal or informal. Education is a need of every people. It is something we need to focus on. Education is an investment and its outcome is knowledge. We are beings who is able to acquire great knowledge in every aspect of life. It is the reward for our parents and our only treasures in this life that we can have and be proud of. We need to love it like how we love our loved ones. For education brings out every potential a man can and will have. If only I am to ask, education must be attainable whether you are rich or poor. Yes, education is open to all, but if you have the right amount of money, you can achieve good education. Like I've said, it is an investment, but education must be of all, for it is an art, the art of life, in which would untangle us to illiteracy that has been imprisoned us for so long.
How can we get knowledge if there is no education? Is an education can give a full dimension of being a true person? And how education can provide a knowledge to have peace in our world? There are so many questions comes up on my mind regarding on this topic, and it's really hard for me to explain it one by one. I will share to you my concept and ideas about knowledge and education. I just summarize on it just to make it short. Well, for me, a knowledge is a tool to accumulate facts in our life. And education is our responsibility to develop our ability. Yes, I consider that learning is a kind of responsibility. You know why? Because we need to educate ourselves in order to develop one's personality, to be able to act and live together with peace and understanding. And most of all, to gain a knowledge that aware the importance of living in harmony with each other and especially to our environment. Now, I can say that we must first educate ourselves to have a useful knowledge, because a truly educated person needs a broader general education and a wide useful knowledge that can understand many different aspects in our life. And that is the importance of knowledge and education.
When a philosophy of knowledge and education such as this is translated into school curriculum and implemented properly, then we can expect the product or output to be processed in the mode described in this commentary, which can then say that education has achieved its goal, which is to effort change and develop the child intellectually, socially, economically, morally, and spiritually. The roles of the educators in the realization of such a philosophy, nevertheless, cannot be discounted in the whole process. Aurelio and Rosita Lefaso pointed out the philosophy of education is meant to challenge educators to be clear, first of all, about the philosophy of what they do with the growth and development of the youth. She further explains, educators are builders of the mind and life of growing boys and girls who, themselves, have minds in which to think. They should think with them rather than think for them. They are to liberate the creative energies of young minds to interact with the living present rather than imprison them in outdated cells of thoughts of dead past. They are to open their innate curiosity to unlimited possibilities of the present and the future.
the right side of the bed. What's up with this Prince song inside my head? Hands up if you're down to get down tonight, 'cause it's always a good time. Slept in all my clothes like I didn't care. Hopped into a cab, take me anywhere. I'm in if you're down to get down tonight, 'cause it's always a good time.